Senior Lin Yu, I like you. It's late at night. On the stage of the drama club at Jiangqing Media University, a shy junior girl stands, wearing a beautiful sailor-style uniform skirt, her square-toed leather shoes reflecting the dazzling stage lights. Her makeup is exquisite, her hair tied up in cute and playful twin ponytails, holding a bouquet of bright and vibrant champagne roses in her hands. Lin Yu is momentarily stunned as he looks at the adorable junior who has suddenly appeared before him. At that moment, Lin Yu is dressed in British-style theatrical costume. A deerstalker hat, double-breasted suit, white gloves. He looks like the stereotypical image of a detective. After all, for tomorrow's official performance, he is to play the role of an elegant and wise detective. This is Lin Yu's usual habit. The day before a performance, he comes alone to the drama club stage in costume to find the right feel. After all, Lin Yu is a very typical method actor. And as the current star performer of Jiangqing Media University's drama club, Lin Yu has this privilege, granted by both the club president and the faculty advisor. Logically, no one should have disturbed him at this time. So, looking at the beautiful junior who has just passionately confessed to him, Lin Yu frowns slightly. Right now is my rehearsal time. I'm sorry. My personal time is also dedicated to studying and practicing acting. I don't have plans for a relationship at the moment. My apologies. Lin Yu speaks somewhat stiffly. Yet, after hearing his words, the junior girl opposite him maintains her bright smile. Senior, don't misunderstand. My liking for you isn't romantic. It's the kind of admiration a fan has for their idol. I'm your die-hard fan. Lin Yu's frown deepens. A fan. If you want to give gifts, take photos, or get an autograph, there will be an interactive session after tomorrow's performance. Although he isn't particularly fond of such interactions, the club president has said it is necessary to attract audiences. The beautiful girl in the sailor uniform shakes her head again. No, senior, you're mistaken. I'm not the kind of fan who'd be satisfied with photos and autographs. I'm more like Mark David Chapman, a die-hard fan. Hearing this, Lin Yu freezes momentarily. Mark David Chapman? He searches his memory briefly before recalling. The man who shot John Lennon, and was also his obsessive fan. The beautiful girl beams at Lin Yu's words. Correct, Senior Lin Yu. I knew you weren't just a great actor. You're also very knowledgeable. With her bright laughter, the bouquet of champagne roses in her hands bursts open. Whoosh! The girl tears apart and discards the bouquet. Pale orange petals scatter like splashes of blood under the stage lights. And from the ruined bouquet, the girl retrieves the object most emblematic of violence. Just as roses symbolize love, this is equally unmistakable. A black, heavy piece of metal replaces the soft, bright flowers, now gripped in her slender, pale hand. It is a gun. Beretta M9. Seeing the gun barrel suddenly pointed at him, Lin Yu feels his entire body turn cold, his mind blank. Instinctively, he identifies the model of the pistol. A prop? A prank? In China, the appearance of a handgun is most likely a fake. But Lin Yu isn't feeling optimistic. Not just because the gun looks unervingly real, but also because of the sharp, calm, unwavering gaze fixed on him. As someone who has once studied serial killers extensively for a role, Lin Yu recognizes this look all too well. It is the gaze of someone viewing another as prey, a gaze that can only be described as murderous intent. Bang! The gun fires, the bullet piercing through a falling petal before striking Lin Yu's beating heart with equal precision. Iron and fire, blood and death. Proof that the Beretta M9 in her hand and the killing intent in her eyes are both terrifyingly real. Pain and coldness spread rapidly from the bullet wound in his heart. Lin Yu feels all strength leave his body as he collapses weakly to the ground. From above, the girl's voice reaches him again. No longer playful or flippant, but now deadly serious. Almost reverent. May you be seen by the gods. As her words fade, Lin Yu feels his consciousness slipping away. What kind of joke is this? How absurd. His initial confusion gives way to overwhelming bitterness as he realizes death is imminent. How could he die here, to some deranged stranger, some senseless shooting? I don't want to die. There is still tomorrow's performance. And next week's, next month's. His whole life ahead, filled with performances. His acting still needs refinement. So far, he hasn't even delivered a single performance that fully satisfies him. How could he die here like this? But no matter how bitterly Lin Yu resists, how fiercely he rages, in the end, everything fades into eternal silence. An immeasurable time later, Lin Yu opens his eyes again. The pain from his death still lingers in his chest, but now it feels like an illusion. He instinctively touches his heart, no wound. Looking around, he finds himself in a dark, empty void. Is this hell? The underworld? Or am I just brain dead? My consciousness trapped like this? Lin Yu gazes around in confusion, his mind racing with wild thoughts. As if in response to his questions, blood-red text suddenly appears in the void before him. Welcome to the death game. Here, we offer the deceased who harbor a powerful will to live a chance to begin anew. Participate in the game, and you shall be granted rebirth. Do you choose to participate? Reading the crimson words, Lin Yu understands. He has encountered some kind of supernatural phenomenon. As a university student, Lin Yu is admittedly obsessed with acting, spending most of his time honing his craft. His life is simple, even monotonous. But he isn't a caveman. He has read web novels and watched anime during his downtime. Drawing from those, he grasps his current situation. Some higher being has created this so-called death game. Selected deceased individuals can revive by participating. And based on those stories, Lin Yu knows full well that games that offer resurrection are often brutal and deadly. But even so, do I even have a choice? Lin Yu sighs softly. If he wants to live, to keep performing, to continue his life, there is only one option. I'll participate. As he answers, the blood-red text shifts again. Welcome to the death game. Player Lin Yu. Now drawing your initial class. Congratulations. You have obtained the unique class, Fraudster. Class ability. When activated, any deception you perform will manifest to some degree if believed by others. The extent of manifestation depends on how strongly they believe you. Lin Yu reads the new text, but before he can fully process it, more crimson words appear. Initial class generation complete. Now entering the game. Game title. Who is the outsider? Clear condition. Eliminate all players of opposing factions or survive until the designated time. Number of players in this game. 7. Dong. A heavy bell tolls right beside Lin Yu's ear. He is somewhat startled to realize that he is no longer in that void of darkness. Instead, he finds himself in a spacious but dimly lit room. The entire room is decorated in a medieval Baroque style, luxurious yet dilapidated. Thick carpets, exquisite oil paintings, crystal chandeliers, wrought iron candle holders. Every item is covered in dust and cobwebs. Upon closer inspection, some even bear dark red stains that look like dried blood. On one side of the room is a massive floor-to-ceiling window. The wooden window frame is adorned with moon phase relief carvings as decoration. Moonlight slants through the window, barely illuminating the room. From all this, Lin Yu deduces that this is likely a room inside an old, long-abandoned Western-style castle. At the center of the room stands a wooden long table. Lin Yu is currently sitting at the head of the table. Beside him and in front of the table sit 6 other people. 6 people. Lin Yu counts the figures around the table. Including himself, that makes 7 in total. Exactly the number of players. So these 6 must be the other players in this game. Lin Yu quickly composes himself and calmly scans the 6 people. 4 men and 2 women, with no obvious commonality in age or temperament. The only thing they share is a look of varying degrees of suspicion and confusion on their faces. It seems not only are they all players, but none of them have any clue about this game. As an experiential actor, Lin Yu has some knowledge of psychology to better understand his characters' minds. He can't read minds at a glance, but judging by the expressions on their faces, he can roughly tell their states of mind without much difficulty. At the same time, Lin Yu notices a detail. In front of each person, including himself, lies a brown envelope on the table. However, Lin Yu doesn't mention this out loud. Since he isn't clear on how this game is played yet, he doesn't want to speak up and become the center of attention under such uncertain circumstances, especially since his ability is the Fraudster, a class that requires deception to be effective. A few seconds later, someone can't hold back and speaks up. Everyone, may I ask if you're like me? That after dying, you ended up in a pitch-black space and saw some strange things like words and games. Among the group, a middle-aged woman wearing glasses whispers, "What exactly does all this mean?" Hearing her, Lin Yu understands immediately. Although he has quickly figured out the situation, Lin Yu knows this isn't just because he calms down quickly. More importantly, he is a contemporary university student who often surfs the internet and has seen many fictional works about battle royales and death games. Among the 7 people present, it is obvious that a few look like they have never been exposed to this kind of fictional content. Still, Lin Yu doesn't intend to remind them at this moment, because someone else is already about to do so. On the other side of the table, a chubby young man wearing thick glasses and a white printed crew neck shirt hears the middle-aged woman's question and can't help but speak up. "I think this situation is very similar to some anime and novels I've seen. Basically, it's a group of people who died accidentally but were chosen by some god to play a brutal game, using their abilities to overcome the challenges and survive. Although cruel, it's also our chance to change our fate." Suddenly, a muffled bang sounds as a man with a scar across his face, a fierce expression, and a lean build slams his fist on the table. "Damn it! What kind of bullshit god is this? I already died for no reason, and now after death, I have to suffer in this crazy place." The scarred man seems to be recalling the last scene before his death, his face extremely dark. "I actually think this isn't a bad thing." A young woman with a gentle yet shy demeanor tucks a strand of hair behind her ear, blushing slightly and speaks softly. Just like the glasses-wearing young man said, "At least we still have a game to play now instead of truly being dead." "Humph. You believe whatever that fatso says?" The scarred man sneers at her. "What if that so-called god is just messing with us?" The young woman purses her lips under the scarred man's stare, clearly unwilling to argue with this obviously dangerous guy. Seeing her silence, the scarred man snorts coldly. After just a few sentences of conversation among the 4, Lin Yu has already made some judgments about their personalities. The glasses-wearing chubby guy seems a bit silly, looking like a naive high schooler who hasn't been exposed to society. The scarred man is fierce, quick-tempered, and eager to send a clear message. "I'm not someone to mess with." The 2 women. The middle-aged one appears quite serious and earnest, while the younger is softer and more fragile. Lin Yu uses his psychology knowledge to analyze these personality traits because no matter what the game content is, he will definitely have to interact with these 6 people. They could be opponents or teammates, so the more he understands them, the better his chances of winning the game. As for the 2 who haven't spoken, Lin Yu looks at the last 2 who remain silent like himself. One sits directly opposite him, a short young man around his own age in his early 20s, with shifty eyes, furtively observing the others. He occasionally licks his lips, seemingly very nervous. The other is the tall man who has been sitting beside Lin Yu all along. Square-faced, stern-featured, well-built and exuding power. Like Lin Yu, he listens carefully to everyone's words. After the scarred man finishes speaking, this square-faced, tall man knocks on the table and speaks. All right, everyone stop arguing. No matter what that god wants, since we all appear in this game, it means we're all grasshoppers tied to the same string. After he finishes, Lin Yu immediately rejects this thought in his mind. Grasshoppers tied to the same string? Not necessarily. And just as Lin Yu has this thought, seemingly to prove the square-faced man wrong, a chilling rustling noise suddenly comes from the wall beside them. They turn to look and see a large, glaring line of blood-red characters appearing on the wall. Then one line after another of blood characters appears, quickly covering the entire wall. Among you 7, 2 outsiders have infiltrated. Find them. Expel them. Among you 7, 2 outsiders have infiltrated. Find them. Expel them. Among you 7, 2 outsiders have infiltrated. Find them. Expel them. Accompanied by a strange rustling sound, lines of crimson text spread across the surrounding walls like countless vengeful spirits, writing grievances with blood. The sight startles all 7 people present. The delicate-looking girl turns deathly pale and lets out a terrified scream. After several seconds, the bloody words gradually fade away. It's the game hints. Lin Yu immediately understands. He glances around and notices that the square-faced man has quickly composed himself. Lin Yu thinks to himself, this guy really is professionally trained military. The square-faced man speaks coldly. Everyone calm down. This is nothing serious. The words appearing on the wall are likely hints about this game. After speaking, he turns to the bespectacled chubby boy from earlier and asks, you said you've seen similar animations in novels? Any ideas? The bespectacled chubby boy clears his throat. Expelling the 2 outsiders hiding among us. Sounds like some kind of spy-finding game, he says. But the game instructions are way too vague. Both the bloody words earlier and these on the wall are unclear. Lin Yu chooses this moment to speak up. Earlier, he had remained silent to avoid becoming the center of attention. But staying quiet now would seem suspicious. He's already noticed several people secretly eyeing him and the short youth who hasn't spoken at all. I think these envelopes on the table probably contain clues about the game. We should check what's written inside. Following Lin Yu's suggestion, the group collectively has an epiphany. Right, we almost forgot about these envelopes. The tall, square-faced man exclaims while opening the envelope before him. The others follow suit. The scar-faced man hesitates briefly before also opening his envelope. Lin Yu slowly opens his envelope but doesn't immediately take out the contents. Instead, he first observes how others react while reading their letters. He notices varied expressions. Some frown deeply, others look tense, while a few have unreadable expressions. Moreover, they aren't reading as quickly as he expected. Seems the game won't be that simple. Lin Yu muses before finally opening his own envelope. The letter's contents appear before Lin Yu's eyes. Hello, my fellow human. Regardless of why you're here, I must tell you some things about this castle. We've left many chests throughout this castle containing useful items. Open any you encounter. But beware of red chests, those belong to werewolves and contain their weapons. Humans can't open them, so be wary of anyone who can. To maintain the castle's normal operation, remember to complete daily tasks on the schedule. Otherwise, the castle's traps, poisonous fog, and extreme cold may kill everyone. Every night at 7 p.m. is meeting time. You can vote to banish anyone outside the castle. The meeting room is sacred, no violence is possible there, so use meetings to banish them. If 2 people tie in votes, no one gets banished. If you discover a corpse, you may immediately call an emergency meeting. Time will then jump to 7 p.m., and everyone must go directly to the meeting room. No free movement allowed. During nighttime rest hours, you must gather in the meeting room until 7 a.m. the next day. No violence can occur there during this time either. Beware, werewolves are cunning masters of disguise, appearing completely human during the day while harboring hatred and murderous intent. Even werewolves cannot directly identify each other. My fellow human, I hope you eliminate all hidden werewolves and survive. If any humans survive 7 days, even if werewolves remain, you may all leave. The handwriting appears rushed, as if written in urgent circumstances. Besides the letter, the envelope contains an identity card. Lin Yu takes out the card. Your identity is human. Lin Yu silently looks up from the card in his hands. Before he can observe the others' expressions while reading their letters and cards, a sudden crackle sound comes from his hands. Crimson flames erupt, though not burning his hands, startling Lin Yu into instinctively letting go. Before the burning identity card, envelope, and letter can hit the ground, they completely burn away without leaving even ashes. The flames flicker out as they fall. This time, no one screams. Having read the letters, the group remains solemn. Combined with the earlier bloody words, everyone now understands a chilling truth. They aren't all on the same side. This is a player versus player game. Finally, the bespectacled middle-aged woman breaks the silence. This letter? What do you all think? The bespectacled chubby boy adjusts his glasses and says quietly, I've pretty much figured it out. This is like a werewolf game. Everyone nods slightly. The oldest present is the bespectacled middle-aged woman, appearing in her 30s or 40s. While most might not know about death game fiction, they aren't completely offline, having at least heard of the wildly popular werewolf game. Seeing their understanding, the chubby boy continues, We're divided into humans and werewolves. 5 humans, 2 werewolves. He elaborates on their objectives. Humans must complete tasks and open chests to survive 7 days while identifying the werewolves. Werewolves must hide while finding werewolf chests to obtain weapons. Then use them to kill humans before 7 days end. No one objects to his explanation. It clearly aligns with most people's understanding. The scar-faced man scratches his head irritably. Damn. Making the rules so convoluted and writing this damn letter needing translation? Who'd play this shit normally? The short youth finally speaks for the first time. That's why that damn god kidnapped us dead people. Otherwise nobody would play this crap game. His joking tone, though ill-timed, lightens the mood slightly with some chuckles. Lin Yu observes the short youth. He thinks, this guy seems suspicious. Lin Yu understands that easing awkward and tense atmospheres comes naturally to some people. But this is a werewolf game, one where people actually die. Does this kind of game really need someone to lighten the mood? This short young man has remained silent until now. His eyes shifty, only to suddenly spout such slick, joking words. Lin Yu instinctively feels something is off about him. However, this is just Lin Yu's intuition. He won't jump to conclusions based solely on intuition that this short young man is the werewolf. After all, the guy might just be a plain idiot. Regardless, this overly harmonious atmosphere is something Lin Yu wants to disrupt. So, he clears his throat. But since we're stuck playing this damn game now, let's discuss some actual strategies for playing it. The gentle, fragile woman speaks softly after hearing Lin Yu. Earlier, someone mentioned boxes. I remember the letter said only werewolves can open red boxes. So if we see who opens a red box, wouldn't we know who the werewolf is? The scar-faced man snorts coldly. The werewolf knows that too. They wouldn't be stupid enough to open a box in front of everyone. We could secretly watch them, the woman retorts quietly. The scar-faced man's expression darkens. What nonsense is this bitch muttering about? Lin Yu quickly mediates and changes the subject. Alright, no need to argue. In games like Werewolf, you can't expose hidden roles during the first discussion. Only as the game progresses can we gradually identify the werewolf based on everyone's actions. The middle-aged woman freezes, then says, but that would likely mean people dying. She realizes that as the game continues, the werewolf would indeed be exposed, but at the cost of lives. Hearing this, Lin Yu slowly says, that's why it's called the death game. We have nothing left except our lives. He continues, even these lives are merely borrowed for now. Everyone at the round table falls silent at Lin Yu's words. The slightly eased atmosphere grows heavy again. They realize that though called a game, this is no child's play. They are dead people competing for a chance to live again. This might be the cruelest competition in the world. An uneasy atmosphere spreads. Lin Yu maintains a grave expression, but inwardly he feels completely calm. He thinks, good. This atmosphere should make them realize they have more than just their lives to rely on. Lin Yu's earlier words are deliberate. He doesn't want this overly harmonious mood. Lin Yu needs to guide everyone to think seriously in this tense environment. To achieve this, he'd even employed some acting techniques to make his words more impactful. As expected, in this heavy atmosphere, the previously cheerful chubby guy suddenly remembers something and exclaims excitedly, wait, it might not be so hopeless. We have our professions besides our lives. He explains that before coming here, he got a profession, and that the auntie earlier also mentioned seeing professions in the blood-written letter. So you all must have your own professions. These must help in the game. The chubby guy speaks enthusiastically. The square-jawed man nods slightly. We can take turns introducing our professions and abilities. Then, based on everyone's skills, we might devise better strategies. Hearing this, Lin Yu relaxes internally. Things are developing exactly as he'd anticipated. After obtaining the fraudster profession and arriving here, Lin Yu had pondered how to utilize his ability. After brief consideration, he'd reached a conclusion. He needed to disguise himself as another profession, but first, he needed to hear others' professions and abilities. The others also seemed thoughtful upon hearing this. Indeed, they still have their professions as hidden cards. The square-jawed man, seeing no objections, goes first. I'll start. I'm Yulongwa, profession soldier. Ability, 5-fold physical enhancement. His confident tone shows this straightforward ability is indeed powerful. The scar-faced man looks surprised at Yulongwa, then smiles. Didn't expect such a profession. Very practical. But is giving your name necessary? Absolutely, Yulongwa says coldly. In a game where werewolves must lie, providing basic information helps me detect deception. The scar-faced man shrugs at Yulongwa's attitude. Fine. No harm introducing this stuff. I'm Bao Lu, profession ruffian. Ability, can break one rule. Though not as simple as soldiers, don't provoke me. I can ignore rules. He gives everyone a sinister look. Lin Yu observes these two, noticing their professions strongly correlate with their real selves. Yulongwa, strong, resolute-faced, with a soldierly demeanor, has the soldier profession. Bao Lu, exuding delinquency from the start, is a ruffian. Next is the bespectacled middle-aged woman. Adjusting her glasses, she says, I'm Su Xiaomei, profession teacher. My ability grants me game-related information. Others nod slightly. While teacher doesn't sound powerful, it is somewhat useful. Everyone ponders each ability's potential. But only Lin Yu, hearing Su Xiaomei's profession, reaches a quiet realization. Just as I thought. Though less obvious than Yulongwa or Bao Lu, Lin Yu's keen observation notices her plain clothing, her throat-clearing habit when speaking, and the thick calluses on her thumb and forefinger. She likely was a real teacher. In other words, the game's professions probably closely correlate with players' real-life occupations. While Lin Yu analyzes, the conversation among the other participants continues. Upon hearing Su Xiaomei's introduction, Bao Lu immediately asks, What information did you get? Is it extra intel about this game? Tell us. Su Xiaomei hesitates. Beside her, the soldier Yulongwa raises a hand to stop Bao Lu. Don't rush her. She has no obligation to share what she learned. Right now, none of us know who the werewolves are. Revealing crucial information recklessly might backfire on us humans. Bao Lu, the ruffian, retorts defiantly, What if she's the wolf herself? At that moment, the gentle-looking woman shoots Bao Lu another glance before speaking softly again. You're so eager to pry information from Su Xiaomei. If anything, that makes me suspect you're the real wolf here. Those words make Lin Yu reevaluate his impression of the seemingly delicate woman. Though she appears fragile, there are needles hidden in that cotton. From the start of the game, Bao Lu has likely been targeting her to assert dominance and showcase his aggression. But no one expected her to strike back during the self-introduction phase. Bao Lu's eyes bulge with anger. He slams the table and points at her, shouting, Don't you fucking slander me. You accusing me now? Seeing the situation spiral, Yulongwa stands up and says sternly, Enough, arguing like this is pointless. Let's wait until everyone has introduced themselves before discussing further. The imposing stature and authoritative presence of the soldier cows Bao Lu into submission. With a cold snort, he crosses his arms and leans back in his chair. He jerks his chin at the bespectacled chubby boy. Your turn. The chubby boy clears his throat and speaks. My name is Chanjua, and my profession is otaku. As for my ability, it's a secret. A secret. The others are taken aback. Bao Lu snarls. We all shared ours, and now you're playing mysterious? Think you're special or something? Chanjua flinches slightly but puts on a mysterious air, shaking his head and whispering, And no, my ability is just too unique to describe in words. You'll understand once you see it. Though Chanjua chooses to conceal his ability, his profession, otaku, makes the others ponder. What kind of ability would an otaku have? Otakus usually stay indoors reading manga and novels. What could such a profession offer? Chanjua's vague explanation leaves everyone baffled about the otaku role. But given his demeanor, no one bothers pressing further. Deep down, everyone has a hunch. Even if Chanjua were on the opposing side, this chubby kid likely poses little threat. Sure, he had been providing useful information earlier, but the fact that he had blurted out everything he knew only reinforces the impression that he is naive and harmless. If he were a werewolf, he'd have probably given himself away already. Even Lin Yu thinks the guy seems a bit too simple. If this is an act, then he'd have no trouble becoming an award-winning actor in the future. Next, it is the turn of the short, scrawny man. He hesitates before saying, My name is Yao Jingye. My profession is thief. My ability, I won't say. This time, the others frown slightly. Bao Lu clicks his tongue. TCH, another one playing mysterious? You copying him? He shoots Chen Zhua a glare. Look at the precedent you set. Chen Zhua shrinks further into himself, too afraid to speak. Yulongwa remains silent, deep in thought. Though Yao Zhengye also hides his ability, the thief profession speaks for itself. His skills are likely related to stealing. Given that, there is no need to press further. Everyone has already formed their own guesses. Then comes the gentle-looking woman's turn. She says, "My name is Xia Yu. My profession is veterinarian, and my ability is healing small animals." Pfft. What the hell's the point of healing animals? You think there are pets in this castle? Bao Lu sneers, still smarting from Xia Yu's earlier counter. Bao Lu is clearly itching for a fight. Who knows? Maybe the castle's owner keeps pets here. Chen Zhua chimes in. Even if there were animals, what good would healing them do? Bao Lu turns to glare at Xia Yu. You expecting them to sniff out the outsiders for you? This time, Xia Yu simply turns her head away, ignoring him. With her introduction done, only Lin Yu remains. All eyes shift to him. Your turn, kid, Yulongwa says. What's your profession? Yeah, my turn. Lin Yu rests his hands on the table, fingers lightly interlaced. His moment has come. Having listened to everyone's professions and introductions, Lin Yu knows his own role, fraudster. Without a doubt, revealing his profession and ability would render them useless. So, true to the name of his profession, this is a role that demands deception. Lin Yu pinches the bridge of his nose before meeting their gazes again, his eyes sharp and composed. Before I introduce myself, I think most of you have noticed something. The professions you drew are somewhat connected to your real-life identities, right? He continues, brother you here gives off military vibes. Chen Zhua, you're the spitting image of an otaku. Xia Yu, you're even wearing a white coat. He then turns to Su Xiaomei. MS, Su Xiaomei, you're probably a teacher in real life too, aren't you? Su Xiaomei nods faintly. That's right, I'm a middle school teacher. Lin Yu snaps his fingers. Exactly. My deduction's spot on. Was fraud just about lying? Lin Yu believes it includes lying but isn't limited to it. At the very least, everything he's just said is based on his earlier analysis, truth. But after finishing his analysis, Lin Yu had pondered something else. If this pattern held true, what did the fraudster profession have to do with him, a college student? He'd never committed fraud, nor was he even good at lying. Then he recalls something his professor had once said in class. At its core, acting is deception. You must deceive yourself, deceive the audience, make everyone believe you truly are the role you're playing. Lin Yu might not be skilled at lying, but he is skilled at acting. A far more advanced, far more effective form of fraud. Now the performance begins. In the castle room, all eyes at the long table turn toward Lin Yu. It's like a spotlight on stage. Lin Yu sits at the table with crossed hands, his expression brimming with confidence. If you trust me, this game isn't actually hard to win. Bao Lu frowns at Lin Yu. Why should we believe you? Just because you analyzed our professions being related to our real-life occupations. Bao Lu points at Yao Zhengye, speaking unhappily. All this roundabout talk just means you're saying I'm a hoodlum in real life, and this Yao Zhengye is a thief, right? Yao Zhengye nearby indeed looks rather displeased. So you're saying since we're bad people in real life, we should just vote us out, huh? As expected, the two react intensely after Lin Yu's words. The others also regard them with increased wariness. Lin Yu shakes his head. Gentlemen, I deliberately avoided mentioning your professions earlier to prevent misunderstandings. He continues, I only said this to convince you that I truly have the ability to lead us to victory, not just through my deductive skills, but also my professional ability. Good tone, excellent lines. All thanks to his persistent improv practice. Lin Yu's gaze sweeps across them as he adjusts his costume. His British-style attire is elegant and proper, giving an immediate impression of wisdom. My name is Lin Yu, and my profession is detective. Lin Yu speaks calmly, spreading his hands. My ability is to verify the identities of everyone present. What? Hearing this, the other six all show shocked expressions. Verify identities. Chunjua is the first to exclaim, "Holy shit! A seer!" Bao Lu slams the table. "No way! That's such a broken ability. You're just spouting nonsense to sow discord." Xia Yu, the veterinarian, immediately speaks up. "You claim your ability is to verify identities? But this game is called Who is the Outsider? An identity-based game. Your ability perfectly matches it. I think you're lying." Su Xiaomei, the teacher, nods slightly. "Our professions were assigned before this game started. Logically, professional abilities shouldn't directly relate to the game's content." Yulongwa watches Lin Yu silently, his gaze somewhat scrutinizing. Initially, they are indeed startled by Lin Yu's claim. This is already an identity game, and now he says his ability is verifying identities? What a coincidence. Only Chunjua seems somewhat convinced. But in werewolf games, there usually is a seer role. The chubby boy mutters. Seeing their varied reactions, Lin Yu feels some tension internally. He is testing whether he'd gained the identity verification ability he'd just claimed. According to the fraudster's ability, if they all believed him, he should have obtained the detective ability now. Yet Lin Yu doesn't feel anything, no ability to verify identities at all. Clearly, the players present don't believe his words. Or rather, their belief falls far short of granting him that ability. Still, though nervous, Lin Yu remains composed. This outcome is somewhat unexpected, yet within expectations. These guys aren't that easy to fool after all, he thinks, exhaling. Before speaking, he'd known his statement had loopholes. But having half disbelieve him immediately still surprises Lin Yu. That ruffian isn't stupid. And those two women plus the soldier are all smart. Lin Yu rapidly analyzes the situation. Fortunately, his performance has been exquisite enough. His earlier demeanor, subtle mannerisms, all conveyed the aura of a true detective. Now he just needs to patch the loopholes in his story. Lin Yu's mind races, but his expression remains unchanged. He adjusts his deerstalker cap, appearing utterly unflappable. Correct. My ability isn't exactly verifying identities. But the reason I said that is because my ability can achieve the same effect. What do you mean? My actual ability is knowing one hidden secret about someone. Applied to this game, doesn't that equate to verifying identities? Lin Yu's tone remains measured, exuding calm confidence. Their expressions vary upon hearing this. Su Xiaomei frowns slightly. Then why didn't you say so initially? Lin Yu is prepared. Because stating I can peek at people's secrets would make everyone uncomfortable, no? His calm reasoning proves convincing. I see. Xia Yu muses. No wonder you phrased it that way initially. Yulongwa nods slightly. Knowing someone's secret does suit the detective profession. This version sounds much more plausible. Bao Lu clicks his tongue, suddenly feeling his own profession rather useless here. In an identity game like this, the detective role seems overpowered. Compared to Lin Yu, at least. Chunjua chuckles. Obviously, the seer role always leads in werewolf. Follow him and we'll win easily. The others nod slightly. The detective's ability indeed holds innate advantages in an identity-based game. Yet observing the five's expressions, excluding Chunjua, Lin Yu inwardly sighs. Indeed, no one likes having their secrets exposed, even if his ability greatly benefited the team. Apart from Chunjua, the other five all regard him with varying degrees of wariness. Some gazes even hold outright disgust. Nobody enjoys feeling their secrets are vulnerable. However, their disgust and wariness mean they believe Lin Yu's claims. Now bathed in their collective gaze, Lin Yu clearly senses a new innate ability awakening within him, as if he could peer into others' minds. If he wishes, he can now choose any present individual and directly probe their deepest hidden secret. It could be this game's identity or other secrets. He can select the general direction. The fraudster's ability has officially taken effect. Lin Yu's performance has fooled them all. After gaining his ability, Lin Yu feels slightly more at ease. Yet he remains vigilant. Indeed, the ability to verify identities is incredibly powerful in games like Werewolf. As Chunjua had pointed out, if the human faction centered their strategy around Lin Yu, victory would come relatively easily. But the werewolves would realize this too. In other words, Lin Yu has now placed himself in a highly dangerous position. Given the chance, the werewolves would spare no effort to eliminate him, unless he sticks closely with the others, leaving no opening for the werewolves. But Lin Yu knows this game won't allow such a scenario. Beep beep. An urgent alarm sounds above everyone in the room. Lin Yu looks up and realizes the noise seems to come from the floor above. That sounds like it's coming from the second floor. He alerts the group. Chunjua, the otaku, panics. What does this alarm mean? Are the werewolves starting to kill? Before Lin Yu could reassure him, Yulongwa, the soldier, speaks firmly. Don't panic. This isn't the signal for werewolf killings. Remember what the letter said. This castle has a schedule listing daily tasks. If we fail to complete them, deadly mechanisms will activate. After his explanation, Chunjua freezes momentarily before exclaiming, "Doesn't that still mean we'll die? Where's the schedule?" Lin Yu points to the nearby wall. Right beside where the bloody text had appeared earlier, near the doorway, hangs an unconcealed schedule. Chunjua rushes over, with the others following closely. The schedule is densely packed with text. Day 1 tasks. Repair generator location. Second floor engineering room. Estimated time, 10 minutes. Countdown, 15:49. Refuel equipment location. Third floor machinery room. Estimated time, 3 minutes. Countdown, 17:22. Clean library location. First floor study. Estimated time, 15 minutes. Countdown, 21:06. Rows of tasks are clearly listed. Just the tasks with countdowns under 3 hours already number over 10. Each task includes its location and a steadily decreasing timer. Though no one knows what consequences await failed tasks or what mechanisms will trigger, no one wants to gamble with their lives. This many tasks. What the hell? I didn't even work this hard in real life, and now I'm clocking in for this damn game. Bao Lu can't help but curse under his breath. His words echo the group's sentiments. Lin Yu understands clearly. There are simply too many tasks, scattered across different locations. Sticking together would make completion impossible. The fastest way to clear the tasks is to split into groups. This is undoubtedly the game's method to prevent the human faction from clustering together. After tallying the tasks, Lin Yu does quick mental calculations. If we split into 2 groups, 3 and 4 people respectively, and plan routes carefully, we might barely finish. Lin Yu silently contemplates how to complete the tasks with minimal group splitting. But before he can finalize routes, Bao Lu speaks up first. I say we split up immediately to handle these tasks. I'll take the generator repair. He makes as if to leave. The others seem inclined to agree. Lin Yu frowns slightly and stops him. Wait, you can't just leave like that. Bao Lu turns back, glaring. What's your problem, kid? Can't you see the timer's ticking down? Are you trying to get us all killed? Don't think your so-called detective title makes you special. Facing Bao Lu's aggression, Lin Yu remains calm. Do you really want to go alone? Aren't you afraid the werewolves will pick you off? These tasks are urgent, but having all 7 of us go solo would gift the werewolves perfect opportunities. Even if we split up, we must form groups. After Lin Yu speaks, Chanjua quickly nods. Exactly. Splitting up is the worst move in werewolf. Bao Lu hesitates, about to retort, but Yulongwa interjects firmly. I agree with grouping. With 7 people, we'll pair up. Lin Yu looks at Yulongwa, preparing to speak. But Yulongwa continues, I know your concern. If a human gets paired with a werewolf, that human would be in danger. But remember, if anything happens to someone, their partner becomes the prime suspect. So from this perspective, grouped partners are actually safe. Cutting off any objections, Yulongwa declares, time's short. We'll proceed with paired groups. Xiaoyu hesitates, but with 7 people, pairing up means one group will. 7 players divided into pairs would create 3 teams of 2, leaving one person alone. Yulongwa cuts her off decisively. I'll go solo. I'm confident in my abilities. Even against an armed werewolf, I can hold my own. Chanjua rubs his chin thoughtfully. I agree. Brother Yu's skills can handle solo action. Yulongwa's plan seems to have gained unanimous approval. Lin Yu doesn't object either. Yet he finds it all increasingly strange. Yulongwa's reasoning sounds logical. In real-life werewolf variants, pairing up is indeed a common strategy. This grouping method would accelerate the game, revealing identities faster. But smaller groups mean greater risk for humans. This essentially uses lives to determine identities. Though they are in a death game, this isn't just a game. Rather than focusing on winning or faction victory, shouldn't everyone's priority be survival? So why is no one objecting? Lin Yu's thoughts swirl chaotically, but the urgency of the countdown leaves no room for contemplation. Simultaneously, a vague sense of unease tells him not to voice these doubts now. Just then, someone tugs his sleeve. Lin Yu turns to see Xiaoyu standing beside him, biting her lip. Detective, may I partner with you? She asks softly. Lin Yu has no reason to refuse Xiaoyu's request. The two naturally form the first team. Among the remaining 4, Chanjua and Su Xiaomei don't want to team up with Bao Lu and Yao Xingye. Thus, after Xiaoyu invites Lin Yu, the 7-person grouping is effectively complete. First team, Detective Lin Yu and Veterinarian Xiaoyu. Second team, Ruffian Bao Lu and Thief Yao Xingye. Third team, Otaku Chanjua and Teacher Su Xiaomei. Fourth team, Soldier Yulongwa operating alone. After grouping up, everyone takes turns selecting tasks from the schedule. Once tasks are confirmed, all 4 groups quickly leave the conference room. After all, they don't have much time to complete their first assignments. Lin Yu and Xiaoyu hurry to find the engineering room mentioned in their first task. The corridor outside the conference room continues the slightly extravagant decor, iron candelabras with wolf head carvings, deep red carpets woven with golden threads. Through the corridor's damaged windows, they can see exterior walls of stacked stone, likely part of an ancient castle. The conference room is at the far end of the castle's first floor. After leaving it, they soon encounter a spiral staircase. Lin Yu and Xia Yu quickly ascend to the second-floor corridor. Right beside the staircase, Lin Yu spots a wooden door with a metal plaque. Engineering room. Lin Yu reads the plaque aloud. From behind the door comes the source of the alarm they heard downstairs, sharp, incessant beeping. We found it so quickly. We still have plenty of time. Xia Yu sighs in relief, then reaches for the doorknob and turns it gently. The unlocked door opens easily, admitting them into the engineering room. Inside the spacious room, an old-fashioned generator hums slowly, surrounded by numerous halogen lamps. One lamp has turned red, emitting loud beeping alarms. The generator connects to other equipment, all functioning normally without apparent need for repair. Lin Yu and Xia Yu approach the generator. As a gentlewoman whose profession is veterinarian, Xia Yu clearly knows little about machinery. "How do we fix this?" she asks worriedly. "Isn't there an instruction manual or something?" Though called a game, the death game doesn't let players progress by holding buttons. The repair generator task requires actual troubleshooting. But Lin Yu remains calm. The estimated completion time is 10 minutes, meaning it's not a major malfunction, probably just a minor issue. He continues, "Besides, this is essentially a werewolf-style game. These tasks are likely just ways to separate us. They shouldn't be too difficult." As he speaks, Lin Yu's gaze falls on a storage cabinet beside the generator. A toolbox sits atop the cabinet containing wrenches and screwdrivers. Beneath the toolbox lies a booklet. Lin Yu lifts the toolbox and pulls out the booklet. The thin manual's pages are dog-eared, its cover stained black with oil, bearing the title Wolf 3 Generator Instruction Manual. "Here's our lead." Lin Yu flicks the booklet confidently with his fingers. Xia Yu sighs in relief, looking at Lin Yu with admiration. "No wonder you're a real detective. Even without special abilities, you're incredibly sharp." Lin Yu shrugs non-committally and opens the manual. 3 indicator lights. If this light turns red, it means insufficient engine lubrication, requires adding oil stored in the first-floor storage room. As Lin Yu expected, the manual straightforwardly identifies both problem and solution. "So we need lubricant from the first-floor storage room? I'll go get it," Xia Yu offers. "I saw where that room was on our way here." Lin Yu frowns slightly at her suggestion, his expression turning stern. "But the whole point of pairing up is to avoid solo movement." Xia Yu smiles. "But time's limited. You stay here studying the machine. What if we get the oil but can't find where to pour it? Failing the task." She tilts her head playfully, hands behind her back, her tone light. "Don't worry about me. This is a dangerous game anyway. And like I said, this life is already borrowed." Hearing this, Lin Yu nods. "Fine. According to task assignments, only the otaku and teacher team should be on the first floor. Be quick and you should be safe." He adds, "Try to return within 5 minutes 30 seconds. Beyond that, you'll be in greater danger." Lin Yu doesn't explain why 5.5 minutes specifically. "Of course I'll hurry. There's a countdown after all." Xia Yu laughs as she leaves the engineering room, closing the door behind her. Lin Yu is now completely alone. His composed, confident expression instantly vanishes. He rubs his face vigorously. Even during those private moments with Xia Yu, he'd still been acting, playing the role of a smug, intelligent detective who likes controlling situations. Why 5.5 minutes? Complete nonsense. He just wanted Xia Yu back as soon as possible. If only pretending to be a famous detective could actually give me super observation and analytical skills. Lin Yu massages his temples in frustration. He considers himself reasonably smart. After all, Jiangcheng University's acting program ranks top 3 nationally with high admission scores. He'd always found acting courses and self-studied psychology relatively easy. Frequent stage performances with the drama club had also strengthened his mental resilience, enabling quick calm under pressure. In fact, Lin Yu believes he has some talent for analyzing people. But in this lethal game, he keenly feels his intelligence and composure are woefully inadequate. Lin Yu is just a sophomore acting major whose greatest asset is theatrical experience. He can't track everyone's movements, can't truly see through people's minds to identify the werewolf, and certainly can't remain completely calm facing life or death situations. Since earlier, Lin Yu has vaguely sensed something off about this game. From its rules to other players' reactions, numerous details seem abnormal, yet he can't decipher what these anomalies mean. But even without sufficient cleverness, he has to keep playing desperately. Lin Yu adjusts his mindset. Unsolved problems can wait. I should make good use of these 5 minutes alone. With this thought, Lin Yu begins carefully examining the room. Compared to the others, Lin Yu trusts Xia Yu more. To be precise, among the current 6 people, the person Lin Yu thinks least likely to be a werewolf is obviously the somewhat silly-looking Chenhua. Xia Yu, with her delicate appearance, probably ranks second. Still, Lin Yu can't completely trust Xia Yu either, just as Xia Yu doesn't seem to fully trust him. Moreover, to maintain his confident and arrogant detective persona, it wouldn't be appropriate for him to start rummaging around in front of Xia Yu. Yet Lin Yu actually has something specific he wants to find. The letter mentioned there are chests in the castle, divided into human chests and werewolf chests. Lin Yu begins searching the engineering room, hoping to find any chests there. Besides the generator, the engineering room contains various other equipment and facilities, appearing rather cluttered. According to the letter, human chests should contain supplies and items that would greatly assist the human faction. If he can find a chest and obtain something useful from it, Lin Yu would feel much more confident. After a quick search around, Lin Yu finds that while the engineering room looks messy with scattered items, those random objects are completely useless. But Lin Yu can't say he found nothing at all. The smell of incomplete diesel combustion from the generator permeating the air, the constantly blaring alarm ringing in his ears, and the choking clouds of ancient dust stirred up from rummaging through the piles give Lin Yu a thoroughly dizzying and unpleasant experience. Already wasted 2 minutes. No, can't keep wasting time in this room. Lin Yu opens the engineering room door. Stepping outside, he immediately feels refreshed. Then he focuses on the room opposite the stairwell. That door looks pretty big. Lin Yu mutters to himself. The castle has 2 staircases in total. One is a spiral staircase in the center spanning all 3 floors. The other is a zigzag staircase at the edge. With the castle's enormous size, the second floor alone has over a dozen different rooms or hidden chambers. Pushed for time, Lin Yu can only choose the nearest option. This is also why they have to split up. The castle is simply too large. If they all stick together running back and forth, even with planned routes, it would inevitably become too hectic and leave little room for error. Approaching the large door, Lin Yu can now read the room name on the placard, Kitchen. Without hesitation, Lin Yu pushes open the kitchen door. Upon entering, he immediately catches a faint whiff of something foul. Damn! How long has this kitchen gone without cleaning? Lin Yu wrinkles his nose involuntarily. No wonder there's a clean the kitchen task later on the schedule. He thinks, but who knows what traps might trigger or dangers might appear if we don't clean it. The kitchen walls bear dark red stains that look like long-dried blood. The floor has even more bloodstains and is extremely filthy. The countertops hold not just chunks of raw meat but even hanging severed limbs. Seeing this, Lin Yu feels a chill run down his spine, especially those withered, twisted limbs. somewhat human-like but not quite enough. It's enough to give him the Happy Valley effect, a Chinese internet term for extreme disgust. Why's the kitchen like this? Nobody dealing with these severed limbs and flesh? The castle owner must have some seriously twisted tastes. Lin Yu thinks. Living in such a huge place but can't afford a cleaner? At least hire a hygienic chef then. Suppressing his nausea, Lin Yu moves closer to examine the limbs. Covered in bloodstains and partially decomposed, it's hard for Lin Yu to determine what creature they came from. From afar they look somewhat humanoid, but up close the resemblance fades. Not wanting to linger, Lin Yu quickly leaves the kitchen. However, upon exiting he discovers a brown chest placed in an alcove right next to the kitchen. A chest! A brown chest! Lin Yu feels a surge of excitement. The letter had mentioned that red chests belong to werewolves, and as a human he probably couldn't open werewolf chests. But this brown chest means it's one humans can open. Lin Yu approaches and flips the chest's latch. As if recognizing him, the latch clicks open. Inside is a neatly packaged loaf of bread and a bottle of water. Food. Seems whoever left the chest knew that after seeing that disgusting kitchen, there'd be no edible food in this castle. Lin Yu takes the bread, tears open the packaging, and quickly devours it with the water. After eating his fill, he returns to the engineering room. He doesn't want to reveal to Xia Yu that he'd opened a human chest. Even though human is the good identity, there's one crucial point. The two werewolves likely don't know each other's identities. The letter had hinted at this too. A werewolf's disguise can often fool even their own kind. In other words, in this game, werewolves wouldn't know who their teammate was either. Thus, Lin Yu has no need to prove his human identity by opening chests. It wouldn't benefit him. If Xia Yu is a werewolf, she wouldn't make a move before confirming whether he is her teammate or not. But why hasn't Xia Yu returned yet? Lin Yu wonders. Time is running dangerously short. Lin Yu has been mentally counting the time. Xia Yu has now been gone for about 8 minutes, over 2 minutes longer than his estimated 5.5. This makes completing their tasks even more urgent. If Xia Yu doesn't return soon, they might not finish in time. Did something happen to her? Lin Yu starts to debate whether he should go downstairs to look for her. But before he can decide, bang! The engineering room door swings open. A breathless Xia Yu appears in the doorway, holding a small bucket of lubricating oil. Her hair is disheveled, sweat beads on her forehead, and her white coat is dirty. Xia Yu quickly approaches, apologizing profusely. Sorry, the lubricant was placed quite high up. It took some effort to retrieve it. As she gets closer, Lin Yu notices her flushed cheeks and how she keeps fanning herself by pulling at her round-necked shirt beneath the white coat. A rather pitiable sight. Lin Yu instinctively wants to comfort her, but immediately remembers his current persona, that of a cold, arrogant detective. Thus, method actor Lin Yu instantly slips into character, merely snorting coldly. Fine, didn't take too long. With that, he takes the lubricant, expertly locates the generator's lubrication point, and easily completes the task. After completing the task, Lin Yu and Xia Yu immediately leave the engineering room without delay. Their next assigned task is still on the second floor, specifically in the prayer room on the opposite side. The objective is to arrange offerings and light candles. Although they have ample time before the next task deadline, neither Lin Yu nor Xia Yu wants to waste any extra time. However, having just completed a task together, the two seem to have grown more familiar with each other. Especially Xia Yu, this delicate, pretty girl seems to have developed some dependent feelings toward Lin Yu, likely due to the suspension bridge effect of being trapped in the death game combined with witnessing his efficiency and reliability during the task. Even though Lin Yu had treated her somewhat coldly and harshly earlier, she doesn't seem to mind. On their way to the prayer room, Xia Yu even takes the initiative to strike up a conversation with Lin Yu. Lin Yu, speaking of which, have you used your detective ability yet? She asks, walking briskly ahead of him with her hands clasped behind her back, completely exposing her back to him. Hearing her question, Lin Yu grows slightly wary. But seeing her completely unguarded posture, he hesitates for a moment before answering truthfully, I haven't used it yet. Xia Yu turns around, continuing to walk backward as she curiously asks, Why not? How do you plan to use it? Lin Yu ponders for a moment before explaining, to be honest, as the detective, an information role that can determine the game's outcome, I'm inevitably the werewolf's primary target. He continues, laying out the stakes. For you civilians, even if I identify a good person on the first day, it still helps eliminate a suspect. But for me, if I can't find and vote out a werewolf on the first day, if there are 2 werewolves remaining who've had time to recognize each other by the second day, my situation becomes extremely dangerous. Even yours would be too. Xia Yu looks slightly confused by Lin Yu's thorough analysis. She tilts her head in thought for a moment before giving up with a wave of her hand. All right. So how do you plan to use it then? Lin Yu speaks earnestly. For the first day's investigation, I'll save it until the final meeting phase. I'll carefully analyze everyone's statements and then identify the most suspicious person to reveal their identity. A smile spreads across Xia Yu's face, her eyes curving like crescent moons. You're amazing, detective. With you here, this game feels much easier, she says sincerely. As they talk and walk, they cover most of the distance, passing by the spiral staircase at the center of the castle. Suddenly, footsteps and voices echo from the staircase. Damn it. This task is so fucking annoying. I even scraped my hand. Yeah. Brother Lu. This task is seriously messed up. Where's our next task again? Whatever. Let's go find the others first. The voices are unmistakably those of Bao Lu and Yao Jingye. As the voices and footsteps grow closer, Lin Yu quickly pulls Xia Yu aside, hiding them both behind a corner of the staircase. Startled by being suddenly grabbed, Xia Yu almost cries out, but Lin Yu swiftly covers her mouth. Be careful, they might be the 2 werewolves, he whispers urgently. Xia Yu looks at Lin Yu, her eyes wide with confusion and shock. Meanwhile, Bao Lu and Yao Jingye's voices continue to drift past them. This damn castle is way too big, one grumbles. Yeah. Imagine the owner getting up to pee at night. They'd probably shit themselves before making it, the other replies. Seriously, do you think anyone actually lived in this creepy place? Their voices gradually fade as they seem to head toward the first floor. Only then does Lin Yu remove his hand from Xia Yu's mouth. Xia Yu quickly extricates herself from his grasp, nervously clutching her sleeves. Let's hurry, she says shyly, resuming their walk. After walking together in silence for a while, Xia Yu finally whispers, Detective, why do you think they're werewolves? Lin Yu calmly analyzes the situation for her. Bao Lu and Yao Jingye's first task was adding fuel in the machinery room on the 3rd floor. Their second task was in the cleaning supplies room on the opposite side. Both tasks had estimated completion times over 15 minutes. He pauses, then continues. It's unlikely they finished both tasks in the time we took for one. So if they didn't complete both 3rd floor tasks, why would they be going to the 1st floor? Recalling Bao Lu and Yao Jingye's words, Xia Yu instinctively replies, I think they said they were looking for people. Lin Yu interrupts her, his tone sharp. Do humans need to go searching for others? Xia Yu's expression finally changes slightly, a dawning realization in her eyes. So, those 2 are probably werewolves. Lin Yu doesn't deny it. At the very least, their behavior is suspicious in my eyes. However, Lin Yu's current certainty is partly an act, a way to maintain his detective persona. In reality, he harbors some serious doubts. What are the odds of both werewolves being assigned to the same group? Moreover, the werewolves in this game don't initially know each other's identities. Even if they were grouped together, could they really confirm each other's roles so quickly? Putting himself in their shoes, Lin Yu can't imagine how they'd quickly determine if their partner was a teammate. His sense of unease grows stronger. As Lin Yu wrestles with these thoughts, Xia Yu's voice brings him back to the present. "Detective, we're here." Lin Yu looks up, realizing he'd nearly walked past the prayer room's entrance. "Sorry, I was distracted earlier," he says before pushing open the prayer room door. Unlike the castle's other dirty, dilapidated rooms, the prayer room is surprisingly clean. The small room has heavy curtains completely blocking the windows, leaving only the dim glow of wall-mounted candelabras for illumination. On the wall opposite the door stands a waist-high shrine carved with lunar phase reliefs. Inside the shrine is a tall humanoid statue, its powerfully muscular body exuding both strength and wildness, but its head is conspicuously missing. Below the shrine is a circular altar filled with offerings, flanked by 2 kneeling cushions. When Xia Yu sees the altar, she suddenly gasps, "Ah!" She points fearfully at an irregular, shriveled spherical object placed at the altar's center, something Lin Yu had initially mistaken for fruit. But upon closer inspection, his heart skips a beat. It is a horrifying human head with its facial features carved off. After clearly seeing that the sacrificial offering is a shriveled human head, Xia Yu is naturally terrified out of her wits. She stands leaning against the wall with a pale face, clearly unable to complete the tasks of arranging the sacrifice and lighting the candles. In contrast, although Lin Yu is also startled, he remains much calmer than Xia Yu. On one hand, Lin Yu has already been frightened in the kitchen earlier and has a general understanding of this game's nature. On the other hand, although Lin Yu is also somewhat afraid, someone still needs to complete this task, so he deliberately maintains a composed demeanor. Sometimes, acting can bring positive psychological suggestions to oneself. By the end, Lin Yu genuinely doesn't feel as scared anymore. Soon, Lin Yu finishes the task. All he needs to do is move the head to a new position, placing it directly in front of the shrine, then use the matches on both sides of the shrine to relight the 2 extinguished candles. Fear and physical discomfort are essentially the only challenges of this task. After easily completing it, Lin Yu quickly leads Xia Yu out of that unsettling room. In the corridor, Xia Yu feels immense gratitude toward Lin Yu for completing the task alone. "Thank you so much, detective." "No problem, it was nothing. After all, if we didn't finish it, we'd both be in danger," Lin Yu says casually. "You can contribute more for the next task." That makes sense. As they say, men and women working together gets the job done easier. Xia Yu smiles by the corridor window as crows perched on the withered tree outside caw incessantly. But compared to before, her smile seems somewhat forced now. That shriveled head has undoubtedly reminded her once again, this is a game themed around death. That is definitely not some fake prop, but the remains of a real life that has passed away. The 2 reach the end of the corridor, preparing to head to the 3rd floor for their next task. Just then, footsteps suddenly echo from the stairs below. Xia Yu and Lin Yu immediately become alert again. However, this time, before they can hide, they come face to face with the people ascending from downstairs. It is the pair of Chenjua and Su Xiaomei. The chubby Chenjua stops in his tracks upon seeing Lin Yu and Xia Yu. "Be careful, Teacher Su. These 2 seem to be lying in wait for us." Chenjua bravely positions Su Xiaomei in front of himself protectively. Su Xiaomei also looks at Lin Yu and Xia Yu warily. Lin Yu feels exasperated. Who's lying in wait here? We're just going upstairs too. He turns the question back on them. More importantly, if I remember correctly, your assigned tasks aren't upstairs. What are you trying to do up there? Cornered by Lin Yu's question, Chanjua immediately retorts, we have no obligation to tell you what we're doing. With that, Chanjua pulls Su Shomei back downstairs. Observing their movements and combining it with his earlier observations of the castle's layout, Lin Yu guesses they are likely trying to reach the second floor via another staircase. Not just the thief and the ruffian, but even the otaku and teacher pair are acting suspicious too. Lin Yu can't help but mutter. Encountering two suspicious pairs in succession makes him wonder if there is something wrong with the game itself. Xia Yu asks curiously, what was suspicious about those two we just met? Was it also because they were going somewhere unrelated to their tasks? Yes, and the strangest part is that they were going together to places unrelated to their tasks. Lin Yu says seriously. Put yourself in their shoes. If I told you I wanted to go somewhere unrelated to our tasks right now, would you agree? Xia Yu pauses, then thinks carefully before answering. I'm not sure. It would probably depend on your reason. If it was convincing enough, I might agree. Lin Yu nods and counters. Then look at it from another angle. Suppose you needed to convince me to go somewhere unrelated to our tasks. What compelling reason could you give that would not only make me go but also make me trust you completely? Lin Yu's question stumps Xia Yu. After a long silence, she gives a bitter smile. Now that you mention it, it does seem very strange. Exactly. Especially that otaku. He clearly heard about my detective identity and abilities earlier and seemed to trust me somewhat, but this is actually good. It's precisely these abnormal behaviors that will help me better identify who the werewolves are. Seeing Xia Yu growing worried again, Lin Yu changes his tone to comfort her. You're right. With you here, detective, there's nothing to worry about. Xia Yu regains her composure and says, let's continue with our tasks. Then you can showcase your skills during tonight's meeting. Lin Yu nods and proceeds with Xia Yu to complete the remaining tasks. However, after encountering two suspicious pairs earlier, both Xia Yu and Lin Yu can't help but become more cautious. Coupled with the inherently tedious nature of the tasks, by the end of the day, both are utterly exhausted. I'm completely exhausted. This is even more tiring than work. Xia Yu sighs after finishing the final task on their daily schedule. By then, the already dim sky outside has darkened completely. Dong! A heavy bell tolls, signaling that it is almost 7 p.m. Time to return to the meeting room. Let's go. Lin Yu is also worn out, feeling like he is back in the hellish final exam week where he had to rehearse plays after studying all day. The two drag their weary feet back to the initial meeting room. When they open the door, they discover that the other 5 participants are already seated inside. Yulongwa raises an eyebrow when he sees Lin Yu and Xia Yu enter. What a surprise! Not a single death today. At his words, Bao Lu looks at Yulongwa and asks, Hey, soldier, what do you mean by that? Xia Yu also frowns. After sitting down with Lin Yu, she stares at Yulongwa and says, Isn't it good that no one died? Of course it's good, Yulongwa says coldly. But it also means the werewolves are more patient than I imagined. If they had killed someone today, we'd have a breakthrough by now. Isn't that the whole point of pairing up? But that's such a cruel way to think, Xia Yu says indignantly. Yulongwa sighs. Don't be so naive, girl. Haven't you realized this is a death game? Even if the werewolves don't kill anyone, humans still need to eliminate at least 2 werewolves to survive, and elimination means death. He concludes, this is a game where at least 2 people will die no matter what. As Yulongwa speaks, Xia Yu falls silent. Not just Xia Yu, the others in the room also grow quiet. Finally, Chunjua breaks the silence. Alright. I actually think the humans have a strong advantage now. Although the werewolves might have held back because they couldn't find a good opportunity, in werewolf game terms, this is equivalent to wasting a werewolf's turn. He continues, with the detective here, the good guys can confirm one person's identity every day. So as long as the detective uses his ability, the werewolves are actually at a disadvantage now. After Chunjua finishes speaking, everyone's gaze naturally turns toward Lin Yu, who has remained silent all this time. Lin Yu's initial strategy had indeed been exactly what Xiaoyu described. Find the most suspicious person and immediately use his ability on them. But now, after 2 daytime encounters and listening to everyone's statements during the meeting, Lin Yu finds every single person suspicious. Yao Zhengye and Bao Lu have suspiciously teamed up and seem to be actively searching for people. Chunjua's attitude toward him has suddenly changed, though Lin Yu doesn't know what Su Xiaomei might have told him. Then there is the lone soldier Yu Longhua. From the moment he proposed pairing up during team assignments and aggressively pushed for it, this guy already seems extremely suspicious in Lin Yu's eyes. Especially when the last group could have easily been 3 people, yet he insists on going alone. What exactly is he planning? Lin Yu doesn't even fully trust Xiaoyu, despite having worked with her all day. When they later went to the first floor to handle tasks, Lin Yu estimates, the storage room is simply too close. No matter how much they delayed, there is no way it should have taken that long. Moreover, even if they genuinely couldn't find the item, would searching really have exhausted Xiaoyu that much? Everyone seems suspicious. Lin Yu feels his thoughts tangled like a ball of yarn. Forget it. I can't just not use my ability. Thinking this, Lin Yu decides to randomly pick someone to investigate first. Let's try Bao Lu. As Lin Yu focuses, he activates his ability. Ever since gaining the detective skills, using it feels almost instinctive. Mentally reciting Bao Lu's name while visualizing his appearance, Lin Yu experiences a mystical sensation, as if Bao Lu's very soul is laid bare before him. With just a thought, he can uncover any secret the man conceals, whether related to this game or otherwise. I want to know Bao Lu's identity in this game. As Lin Yu focuses his intent, a memory fragment appears before his eyes, Bao Lu's first-person perspective. The image shows Bao Lu sneakily using stationery to shield his identity card while carefully checking it. The words on the card read, "Your identity is werewolf." Then the vision dissipates. Lin Yu is stunned. Bao Lu actually is the werewolf, which likely means he and Yao Zhengye are both wolves. Hey detective, who'd you investigate? Hurry up and share the results. Bao Lu's impatient voice rings out. Lin Yu looks up at the group and opens his mouth. The optimal strategy would be to immediately reveal Bao Lu is the werewolf and have everyone vote him out. But was that truly the best move? Lin Yu exhales and makes his decision. I've used my ability to verify someone's identity, but sorry everyone, I can't disclose the results right now. The moment these words leave his mouth, everyone's expressions subtly change. The most transparent of them, Otaku Chunjua, immediately panics. Dude, what? You check someone but won't say? What's with the mystery? Trying to be some kind of Riddler? Lin Yu remains silent, simply giving Chunjua a calm look. After Chunjua speaks, Yu Longhua also voices his displeasure. Detective? What's the meaning of this? Whether you found a werewolf or human, revealing it would be the optimal play. No. Bao Lu speaks up with a dark expression, though his words aren't aimed at supporting the others. Mr. Detective over here can't even share his findings properly. Doesn't seem like a good guy to me. And you damn otaku, you're the one who started this riddle crap by being vague about your ability, giving the detective an excuse to hold back now. And you soldier, acting all high and mighty after going solo all day. I can't stand pretentious assholes like you. Bao Lu's indiscriminate insults target all three men simultaneously. Only after Bao Lu finishes does Lin Yu leisurely respond. Do you honestly think revealing everything I find would be beneficial? He continues. Think carefully, fools. What if the person I checked turns out to be human? Leveraging his arrogant detective persona, Lin Yu counterattacks while insulting everyone equally. Hearing this, Xia Yu freezes momentarily before recalling Lin Yu's daytime comment about werewolves not knowing each other's identities. A realization dawns on her. He's right. If the checked person is human, revealing that might not actually help much. Chunjua looks confused. How? That'd be like confirming someone's innocence. Giving us good guys more information by eliminating a suspect. How's that not useful? Xia Yu patiently explains on Lin Yu's behalf. But there's a key difference from regular werewolf games you might have missed. The werewolves don't know who their teammates are. Chunjua blinks. So what? Lin Yu leans back slightly, adopting a lazy tone. The werewolves didn't kill anyone on the first night. Could part of the reason be they feared accidentally killing their own teammate? This finally makes Chunjua understand. Oh, so not only do we good guys have limited vision, the werewolves are in the same boat. So detective, you're not telling us because you don't want to give the werewolves a safe kill target while also helping them narrow down their search for teammates. Right? Lin Yu chuckles. Not completely hopeless after all. Then what do we do today? Su Shomei asks with a frown. My suggestion is we nominate no one. Lin Yu naturally takes the lead again. A peaceful day and night. Let's wait for my investigation results tomorrow before deciding. Okay? As Lin Yu speaks, the meeting room falls silent again. Yulongwa coldly interjects. And if tomorrow you check another human? If it's human, I'll reveal it then. With 5 humans remaining to hide 2 werewolves, the odds are better. Plus, if you trust my results, you're basically confirming I'm a good guy. Lin Yu says casually. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow I'll catch a werewolf right away. He says this with optimistic laughter. Su Shomei pours cold water on his optimism. 2 in 5 chance isn't low, but still more likely to be human. Lin Yu shrugs non-committally. Statistically, he'd only had a 1 in 3 chance of finding a werewolf today, yet he'd immediately caught Bao Lu. But this realization sparks a sudden insight. Wait, was this really just luck? Such nebulous concepts are precisely what Lin Yu trusts least.